Hello, it's Andy again from the Egocast channel. So, Laci Green made a video. I'm gonna comment on it, but you know, life moves fast. So, if Laci actually watches this, I want to get straight to my point. We're gonna go right to the end, and then we're gonna wind up getting there. So it's gonna be one of those type of movies. My question to you, Laci, if you're seeing this, what are the taboo topics? What topics are off the table for discussion? I have to be skeptical in that regard because it's so often what winds up happening when these things wind up happening. I'm not saying that I'm sure that there's anything that you don't want to talk about, but I'm just questioning, just wondering, is there any topic that is off subject with you? If the answer is no, well, all right then. Then I would be happy to sit and, talk with you. That would be awesome. I think that'd be very cool. But if there are subjects that are taboo that we can't talk about, then what is the point? What are you really trying to do? There's my question. That's it. Just that simple. But whatever. I think it's very cool. I like the reach out. I think that's very awesome. I think it's amazing to see bridges being built. That's very cool. We don't want to build walls. We want to build bridges. So let's not talk about things that we disagree on. It's weird. And it seems like you're starting to see that shit. And that's awesome. That's very cool. I'm happy for you. But, yeah. Just my question. Just wondering. If there is no taboo subjects, awesome. It'd be great to talk. If there are taboo subjects, cool. I would be willing to talk to you even under conditions. But what's going to happen is sooner or later I'm going to come around to why were there conditions, and then we're going to go through what they were, and then I'm going to ask you questions about all of the fucking things that you had conditions about not wanting to talk about. So it's just going to be the way it's going to go. If there are conditions, so you might not want to bother. But if there are no conditions, awesome. Let's talk. But for everybody else, let's watch this video. Let's check this out. It's real good shit.
Okay, making this video. Hi, Internet. I'm back. Did you miss me? Don't answer that if you're me.
I missed you, Laci. I never got a chance to really critique any of your work. It was all kind of old stuff by the time I got around to doing things, and then I kind of messed around with other people and just never got around to it. And then you kind of stopped doing, videos on feminism and whatnot, and mostly you were doing the sex stuff, and those are actually not bad. So I never got to really critique your work. So this is my first Laci Green video. Everybody, yay!
I certainly missed you guys. It's been a few months since I've been on YouTube. Longest break I've ever taken, but it was very much needed, and I feel so good. I think the social media detox is very nice.
Very nice!
So I wanted to fill you all in on some stuff that's been going on since I've been on break. I haven't been completely removed from the internet. If you are active in the conversation about feminism and social justice warriors, you may have noticed that I've been talking to and hanging out with some anti-feminist YouTubers. This has apparently really confused people. There have been thousands of tweets and emails and people freaking out, like, what is going on? After all, I, Laci Green, am the very pinnacle of a social justice warrior. My SJW-ness has been memeified with statements like, everything is problematic and there are more than two genders and America is racist. But now, at pro-Trump rallies, I'm told by reliable sources, there's talk that I'm being red-pilled in the Matrix sense, not so much the pickup artist sense.
Well, there's two funny things in that. First of all, and most glaringly, red pill. These cute little quaint terms that people come up with just annoy the shit out of you. Just make me sick. Anyways. Secondly, it's funny that she, when you realize that you're a meme, that for a reasonable, rational person, which it seems for all the world that Laci is, you gotta kind of look at that and go, oof. Huh. So, I don't know. I'm starting to warm to Laci Green. I really, really am. This is interesting.
The red pill is a meme that refers to this realization that the world isn't nearly as simple as you thought it was. The question, of course, is what is the truth? What is the truth? And how bad do you want to know? In some sense, I took the red pill a long time ago. It's why I do what I do. My YouTube stuff has always been about the pursuit of forbidden knowledge.
And butt sex.
And while yes, I am a feminist, I wouldn't describe myself as the ideologue that people sometimes make me out to be. I feel that things tend to be messier than that.
Like butt sex.
And frankly, that's the way I like it.
Laci.
So, let's get messy.
Okay. This is the point where I hope that Laci has already turned it off if she's watching this video. I have been told that I have the maturity level of a 15-year-old. You know, I don't see it, but, you know, I've been told that.
So here's some context about me. I used to be Mormon, pretty intensely so. You know, when I was 12 years old, there were adults telling me that my spiritual destiny is to be perpetually pregnant. Cute, right?
Mormons. Weird people.
I'm also half Iranian. Funny enough, my grandparents were political rebels in their day, speaking truth to power during the revolution in 1979. It's actually pretty badass, and it makes me feel like rebellion runs in my blood. But as a teenager, I got a little bit lost in all of this, as you do. So my first YouTube channel that I started when I was 17 was about skepticism and philosophy. Then, when I was 19, I created a series called Sex Plus, which is dedicated to helping young people who, like me, had been told that their sexuality was bad or wrong, that they're less than because of their gender or sexual orientation, and so forth. So this is the type of stuff that forms the core of my feminism, which I would describe as intersectional, sex positive, and skeptical. Skeptical, as in not easily convinced of stuff. Science is my rubric wherever possible because we're all prone to human error.
See, that it kind of makes me giggle because she believes in an infinite number of genders. So, you know, that kind of makes me laugh. But, hey, maybe we'll get to talk about that sometime. Won't that be interesting?
Science isn't perfect, but it helps reduce those errors by a lot. At the end of the day, we all have true beliefs, and we all have false beliefs. Skepticism is about acknowledging that. It's questioning even the seemingly unquestionable, and being willing to adjust our beliefs as we get new information. In truth, I want to engage with criticism, but it's really hard to do online. There's a lot of hostility, things escalate super quickly, people don't really seem to be listening to each other, it's just a shit show.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I went down the rabbit hole of anti-SJW videos, and I found that some are pretty disrespectful. But that's not all the channels. I've recently found anti-SJW channels that are well-cited and reasoned, you know, make some interesting points.
Like how a dragon has front legs and a wyvern does not. So, need I say more?
Sometimes I'm like, yeah, I agree with that, or I didn't really think of that. And sometimes I disagree, in which case, you know, I still feel it's beneficial for me to listen and consider another perspective. It helps me learn. So I decided to reach out to some. And, you know, I was pleasantly surprised. People have been pretty kind to me. And
that's what I've always been saying. You'd be amazed at just people. People always surprise people. It's awesome. Think nothing of people, and then be pleasantly surprised all the time. But at least give people the chance, you know? Like, you never know until you try. And you find out more often than not that people just, you know, they just like talking. Like, we're not all assholes. We're not. Some of us just like talking. And some of us are just fucking upfront about their feelings. And that's just how it is. But, yeah, you find that more often than not. People will be nice to you. It's just, they gotta get to know you. Once they get to know you, you're not some fucking retard anymore. You're an actual person. You just gotta be an actual person. there you go.
And, I'll be honest, I didn't really expect that. No judgment, no vitriol. I even feel like I have a really good connection with a couple of new friends. But not everyone is so hunky-dory about it. Good friends of mine, feminists, have been a little bit skeptical of me.
See, and that's where it's funny to me. Because I've seen a lot of videos, and I've seen a couple of them that are kind of like, what the fuck? For the most part, everybody on the anti-SJW side is like, fucking cool. Laci Green. She might be a person. That's awesome. So it's weird that you're getting a lot of hate from your own side, isn't it? Like, that alone should make you question the people that are representing your side. Like... Right?
They expressed the opinion that talking to antis or problematic people is, not going to be worth the time, that it won't be fruitful, that I'm engaging with bigots and validating their perspectives, that I'm offering a platform to bullies, things like that. While I can appreciate this perspective, I fundamentally disagree with it. So let me go down another rabbit hole here.
Speech is harm. Man, she's getting into all the fucking shit. This is pretty cool.
Social justice communities lately have been arguing that bigoted ideas, this harmful speech should be suppressed because it allows the bigotry to spread and to be validated. I'm thinking of campaigns to get people's Twitters banned, book deals canceled, talks canceled, things like that. Ironically, this sounds very similar to the logic that is used by the right to censor sex ed. Information about sex has been deemed too harmful to hear. It'll encourage immoral behavior and speed social decay. Two sides of the same coin. The question is, what counts as harm? To some, harm is a problematic opinion. Harm is hate speech. Harm is inciting violence. The other pole of this issue is the perspective that there is no such thing as harmful speech, that speech can't hurt you. Therefore, all speech should be permitted, no matter what. I fall somewhere between these two perspectives. My opinion is that speech can be emotionally harmful if it causes pain or shame or dehumanizes you. It can also be physically harmful if it incites or advocates violence against someone. But these two harms don't pose the same amount of threat to an individual in the context of political speech. So they shouldn't be treated as equal forms of violence. If we're gonna say a slur is just as violent as punching someone in the face, to me, that minimizes the egregiousness of punching someone in the face.
My God. She fucking gets it.
So I tend to agree with the interpretation by a lot of human rights organizations, which is that harmful speech starts where it incites or advocates violence. I think the definition of harm is being pushed too far in regard to political speech, that this heightened level of sensitivity is actually resulting in some censorship. Not de jure like government censorship, the technical definition of it, but de facto censorship, in practice. By shutting down platforms for speech and driving it underground, or by making ideas too taboo to be allowed to talk about. I also feel like this approach doesn't very well promote social justice. For one thing, when you think about it, suppression of speech is just a band-aid. It doesn't really address the systemic inequality or the mentality that lies at the root of these problems. It just sort of shuts the conversation down. It also has a clear backfire effect. It makes those poor, censored voices more sympathetic to a moderate audience. Case in point, Milo Yiannopoulos. The way I see it, the internet already gives everyone a huge platform, much bigger than a university can offer. They're already on the internet. They're gonna be there. We should talk about it. I think we should address things head on. Through open dialogue, we can parse out ideas and really see what they're made of. And in response, everyone else has free speech too. They can dissent, they can protest, they can ask critical questions, they can counter the narrative, they can, highlight fallacies and moral failings of the argument.
Holy shit! She gets it! She gets it!
So all of this comes to a head in a brutally bizarre spectacle that happened last week amongst feminist scholars who appear to be cannibalizing themselves as usual.
And she's starting to get the joke, it seems. Holy shit. Laci Green. Like, convert. Oof. This is cool. I might actually look for a halfway flattering thumbnail for this. Huh.
It all started with a feminist philosopher's publication in the philosophy journal Hypatia about transracialism. So in the paper, she examines arguments that are used for transgender equality and basically finds that logic can be applied to race as well. She highlights some of the logical inconsistencies and weaknesses in the arguments that are used against someone like Rachel Dolezal. It's a controversial topic and a controversial conclusion, and she may well have some things wrong. But instead of refuting her arguments on their logical merits, the academics penned an open letter claiming that the paper needs to be revoked, citing its various harms, including, using the wrong word, degrading trans people by comparing them to Dolezal, and having read the paper, the accusations that are made in this open letter are a complete misrepresentation of her argument to an extreme degree, which really makes this whole ordeal all the more troubling. These are not grounds to censor an academic paper. They're not grounds to ruin someone's academic reputation. I mean, what's the end goal here? Is it that, only a very specific perspective can be heard in a philosophy journal exploring feminisms? Like, that strikes me as very contradictory.
See, and that, the whole thing is very hysterical to me for this reason. Divide and conquer, right? Divide your enemy up, have them mostly fighting each other while you're fighting them, and the whole thing collapses from within and without. Feminism has gotten to the point now where they're employing divide and conquer like on their own. Like they're doing it to themselves. They're doing it to each other. They are dividing because they have these ideological differences. I think that sex is horrible and nobody should do it, and I think that sex is great and it's empowering for women. And now those two sides of feminism hate each other, but it's still the same core fucking thing. So it's like they've employed divide and conquer on each other, and it's fun to watch it happen because it's like what the fuck are you doing, huh? So it's interesting to see that Laci's figuring this shit out.
And more generally, should publications, reject papers that don't agree with majority opinion? Like, that makes no sense. So this is a pretty big concern of mine, and I've felt this way for a long time.
Which is odd that you bring it up now, but we're giving you the benefit of the doubt, Laci. We're giving you the benefit of the doubt. You're reaching out. You know what? Forget I mentioned anything. Forget I said anything.
It affects my work. It affects the way that I can interact with people, the things I can talk about, the people I can talk to. And this is not to say that censorship doesn't occur on the right, because it absolutely does. They just tend to censor different issues. So where does this leave us? I want to continue these conversations, which is why soon I'm going to be launching a series of live debates with feminists and anti-feminists. So in the comments, let me know if you have an idea of someone that I should invite on, or if you have ideas of topics that we should debate. And as for that red pill, well,
take that shit. If you want it, you can have it, girl. Just take that shit. A dirty habit, just grab it, don't pay, just take that shit. Hey yo, I'm so smart. Leave Walmart with a full cart. Pantyhose, Velcro shoes, and bar charts. Everything I need is free. Quick to flee with something fly. Security. shit.